Well, folks, good day to you, one and all. Next Gen Racing Proto Season 4, and we're coming to you from Spa-Francorchamps. It's going to be a lovely race, no doubt. And as you can see, it's brought to you by Second Gear Productions. And commentary, I'll be doing that myself. Gary Gaza Fleming joining you for this one. Wesley Lewin and Alan McCain going to be on the front row of the grid. Craig Tillotson, Mark Seitz, Duncan Murray, Dan Dunny, they're all in there, all the favourites, all the big names, all the big guys, and there are 20 entries out there today that's going to be taking part in this one. And there are two classes that's going to be out there, and in fact those two classes is going to be the LDMH and the LMP3s that are both going to be out there on the grid today. So to you one and all, welcome. It's great to be here with you. Nice to have you guys joining us for this one. Craig Tillotson. Craig Tillotson's in the pits. Not sure why he's going to be starting from there. Let's see how this one's going to play itself out. And it's going green already. It's Wesley Lewin and Alan McCain. It's going to be working their way down to turn number one. That is La Source, one of the most well-known cars. Oh, 3 abreast, 4 abreast. They go in there. Does everybody get through in one piece? Yes, they do. It's Alan McCain and Wesley Lewin from Dan Downing as they work their way down Our Rouge, down towards Radial. All these well-known corners, hammering it through there. Flat foot all the way through. And holding on is Alan McCain. Look at that. Alan McCain in there behind him. In that third position is Dan Downing. Then it's Duncan Murray. Then it's Paul Williams. They're all juking and diving. Dory Ricciuti, in the old dog's car, gets itself turned around and holds out. I think that could have been Nick Clibbins that got held up there, as well as Alan McCain still leads them out. Staying with Alan McCain as he works his way through, and well, he's put up a lovely first lap, that's for sure, because he's got himself 0.7 of a second on that man, Dan Downing. Then his teammates, the next man that's right in there behind him, that is Duncan Murray, the South African. Marky Mark is in there as well, but he gets passed by Paul Williams. Paul Williams working his way past Mark Sykes in the 666 car. Remember, all of those cars are in fact the LDMHs. In there behind the LDMHs will be the LMP3s, because remember, the LMP3s are notably slower in general around the circuit. Igor Martinez, a man that had quite an interesting session for himself just last week. Then Stefan Wessels, the man that everybody fears, the man that will work his way from the back of the pack all the way through to the front, and he's got some close company behind him. Nobody else than Gareth Gaza Williams is in the house, and he's right in there behind Stefan Wessels, the recovering Nick Clibbins, after what happened with him and Dory Ricciuti. Finds himself a long way back, and then there is Dory Ricciuti behind that. Let's go to the front end of the LMP3s, and there he is once again, Sean Skitter. He holds out the likes of the Baker, Mark Baker, in that second position, who once again finds himself in the top 3. In there behind that is Trevor Evans. Mike Ridner's got himself into a pretty decent position, but he's just lost out now to Owen Patterson. Owen himself runs it wide, and Mike Ridner comes back into that position, but they go side by side as they work their way through. And so close to one another as they work their way. Let's ride on board with Owen Patterson. Let's see what that looks like. He's right up against the curbstones there on the right hand side. That's all looking good for him. Jorge Bentes, the next man that's in there behind him. Jorge Bentes a little bit further back. We're riding on board with Owen Patterson. You can see there's a decent gap there in front of him as he works his way through. But let's have a look at the intervals. Now we can see where the real dices are. Oh, look at that. Paul Williams. He's having a lovely ride so far. that Porsche is looking very, very good in the hands of Paul Williams. He's right in there behind the always red-colored car of Benjamin McCliskey. McCliskey likes red. Somehow, Benji boy is a red man. And all the different designs that I've ever seen him. Oh, whoever look around the outside of that one. That didn't manage to make it stick, but he had a very good go at it, trying to have a look around the outside of Duncan Murray. Duncan closes that line off as they work their way down towards the last source. Hard on the brakes. Who do you go with? The left-hand side or the right-hand side? Well, it goes into Linus Stern. Benjamin McCliskey having a good hard look at Duncan Murray. I don't believe there's any ways you can pass here. It's got to be Linus Stern. Hard up against the pit wall. A late turn in. Oopsie, using up too much of the curbstone. That opens it up for this man that we're riding on board with, and that's how he dives his way through to make sure that he makes up that position. So Benjamin McCliskey on the inside line. Will he be able to go past Williams? Williams now on the inside line. They make light contact, but Benjamin does go through. Benji boy has moved himself up into that 4th position. What a lovely piece of driving that was. What about the front end of the pack? Dan Downing, and he's got himself a 2-second gap at this stage of the fight. There's the next man behind him, Alan McCain, Duncan Murray. Remember, Alan McCain didn't finish the race last week. He packed up before the end and he said, no, this ain't going to work. It was very near the end of the race that he said, no, I've had enough. It's not going to be for me anymore. And look at that battle. Murray, Martinez, Williams, Stefan Wessels, and Gazza's in there with him as well. He knows, Gareth knows he's just got to stick right in there and make it work for him, because if he stays right in there, it's a matter of time and they will go towards the front end of the field. Dan Downing leading out, so Duncan Murray with Igor Martinez right in there behind him, both of them behind Benjamin McCliskey. Then it's Paul Williams, and Williams has got Stefan Wessels. Wessels has to look up on that inside line, but he's too far back under braking. Wessels won't be able to do anything from there. Gazza right in there behind him. Oh, Gazza is so close in the 9-0. Dory Ricciuti behind Nick Clibbons just a little bit further back. There you can see the blue of Nick Clibbons as he comes up towards us. And the man that is leading out on the LMP3s is in fact Sean Skitter. Sean Skitter 12th overall and the leading LMP3. 36 seconds he finds himself off the back end of Marky Sykes. Mark Sykes bringing up the tail end behind Dory Ricciuti. Everything's gone pretty well so far. See, Nigel Stock had an off track. So seeing it's a 2-hour race, let's have a look at some of those little replays. Yep, that's all 4 wheels on the outside of the given area. Nick Clibbons coming through the very last corner, also 4 wheels on the outside. Now Mark Sykes, as we saw, had dropped towards the back end of the pack. So why did Mark drop to the back end of the pack? The man from NXTGEN Racing, it gives me all the necessary information. Oh, he ran completely wide, did Mark Sykes. And that's what cost him so badly. Let's have a look at that Nick Clibbons incident just a little bit earlier on. Let's see if we can get that one up for you. There's Nick Clibbons. All went well up till that point, no problem. That was the man in front of him that turned himself around. And Clibbons had nowhere to go, and that cost him pretty dearly. So Benjamin McCliskey, Benji in the house. He's in there behind Alan McCain. Alan McCain will have liked to just forgotten about last week's race. It wasn't a good one for him. Dan Downing disappearing in the future, and it is McCliskey that is having a look and to see if he can make a plan. Further back is Paul Williams. He's got Gazza right there with him. Gazza's actually got in front of Stefan Wessels. Had I missed something? I thought it was the opposite way around. Stefan Wessels, we've seen him make a good couple of moves. I think I've got it. Let's have a look at this one. Stefan Wessels. No, that was just running it just a little bit too wide. Nothing had actually went wrong there for Stefan Wessels. And it looks like Craig Tillotson, the man that was going to start from the pit row, he has had a bit of an incident. Let's see what happened. Oh, he just comes in miles too hard. Gears the Leighton House car and brakes it at the same time. And, well, he eventually uses a reverse gear to try and get out there. But, yeah, he kicks kind of that one completely. And he jumped back to the pit. So that takes Craig Tillotson right out of it. Yep, he's out of that one completely. He says, I've had enough. I'm just going back to the pits, and that's it. So, all glory to the man that started up front and is still there. He's having a lovely run. Dan Downing, as he works his way through. Benjamin McCliskey, that has now got past Alan McCain and starting to pull a little bit away from McCain at this stage of the fight. Paul Williams, almost in the same shot. Whoa, using the whole track and a little bit more is Paul Williams. Paul Williams staying ahead there of Gaza, who is ahead of Stefan Wessels. Stefan Wessels will follow. You'll know that Gareth is on his way towards the front end of the field, most probably. No need to fight him. We're only 10 minutes into a 2-hour race at this stage of the fight. Stay close enough, save the tires, make it work for you, and then just follow him through as he goes. Nick Clibbins, not that far behind. Remember that, 1.3 seconds between Nick Clibbins and Stefan Wessels. And if Stefan's just holding sway behind Gaza, and Gaza is taking his time and opportunities to pass Paul, that would then make that a four-way battle, because Nick Clibbins might just be able to catch up. He's lost out of the ground. He's 1.4 at this stage of the fight. If you can get just a little bit closer, then Nick would be able to pick up the toe, but on 1.5 seconds, it's a little bit far. Igor Martinez, almost 6 seconds at this stage of the fight. There's Igor. And then Igor has got a bit of a gap between himself and Mark Sykes. And Duncan Murray is now right at the back of the pack. So not going well for Duncan Murray. I do believe that Duncan Murray did pass Dori Ricciuti. Yeah, I saw that one. I saw the Craig Tillotson crash, Duncan Murray crash. That's the one I'm looking for. Let's see what happened to Duncan Murray. Up till there, it was quite fine. Oh, yeah, that's where the contact was. Duncan Murray getting taken right out of that. And well, I think that was Gaza that was involved with that. Nope, that's where Gaza just went straight past them. So I'm not sure who the second car was in that. Either way, let's go back to what's happening right now out there on circuit. We've got a 2-hour race, which is fantastic. A big thanks to NXTGEN for making it possible for me to join you guys. Those of you that have just joined us, this is where we are. It's season 4, it's Proto round 3, it's the Spa 2-hour, coming to you from the iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. And a big thanks to all of our sponsors, as you see them in the right hand top corner. Motorsport UK, the recommended community, Benji Sim Photos. Lovely to have Benji Sim on board, as well as we watch Dan Downing, the leading car, ahead of Benjamin McCliskey. Douglas Motorsport also in there as well. Just behind him is Alan McCain. Power Max also on board with us. There's Paul Williams. And Gaza pops up on the inside. Williams tries to hold him out, but yep, it ain't going to hold for him. Williams has to eventually back out of that one. Mark Sykes Designs, also one of our co-sponsors for this one. So we'll have a look at Stefan Wessels, Joyce Design in there with us as well. Paul Williams, that's now dropped down those 2 positions, will now come into the clutches of Nick Clibbins. Now remember, Nick Clibbins was 1.4 seconds off the back of that group that he needed to be on, and that was the back end of Stefan Wessels. So a bit of work for him at this stage of the fight. But let's go to the front end of the LMP3s. There's the LMP3s. Let's put up a track map so you can have a look at that one as well. Let's put up a battle box for you so that you can see that. And that's what it looks like out there. It's action aplenty. And I personally think that it's not going to be over till the fat lady sings, because at this stage of the fight, it's still open season. Nothing is decided and cast in stone whatsoever. Well, let's have a look through that pack that is following through on Sean Skitter. Behind Sean Skitter is, in fact, there he is. There's Mark Baker, second in class. There is Owen Patterson, third in class. Jorge Bentes is fourth. Mike Ridner holding on to that fifth position. You'll be very happy to be ahead of Trevor Evans and Nigel Stock. Wesley Lewin just a little bit further back. So he's completely out of sync with everything because he's in fact in a LMDH. Dory Ricciuti has gone into the pits. Craig Tillotson he looks like he's out of it. I don't think he's going any further whatsoever. So Stefan Wessels on the back of Gaza. Let's have a look at the last lap times as it was. Oh, Benjamin McCliskey, 34 thousandths outside of breaking that golden 2-minute around this iconic circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps Grand Prix layout. It's an amazing circuit. There's just so much that happens at this circuit. It's brilliant stuff, and for us to get an opportunity to commentate on racing on this circuit, never mind actually be there ourselves, is utterly amazing. On the last laps, there's a couple of people that have done the 2-minute thing. Oopsie, somebody's gone off there towards the outside of the circuit. I think it could have been Nigel Stock. Oh, there's actually 3 cars that have gone off there with Nigel Stock that went off. I think Wesley Lewin was part of that as well. Yep, that's the first 2 that went, and then the 6th car got taken with as well. There was just nowhere to go at that stage of the fight. Wesley Lewin eventually making it back onto the track. A lot of damage on the back of that motor car. Well, the back end's basically gone on the back end of that motor car, so he'll probably be coming into the pits. Speaking about pits, who has and who has not been into the pits so far? Wesley Lewin, as we said, with all that damage on the back of his motor car, he has in fact gone into the pits. So I'm not sure what the pit window is, how big it actually is. Hopefully he will not have to come in for a second stop as such. But at this stage of the fight, that's the way it is for him. Gazza's on the move. Here comes Gazza. Oh, right on the back bumper of Alan McCain. He brings the highly acclaimed and utterly feared Stefan Wessels through with him as well. Let's ride on board with Gazza. In fact, let's go right in behind the steering wheel of that motor car. That's what it looks like. That is a lovely shot coming through Speaker's corner underneath. Oh, he got good drive there. Backs out of that one completely. Gazza was on a good run onto the back end of Alan McCain. Follows him through. Is there enough space to dive for the inside line? No, there's not. It was Jorge Bentes was the man that they were trying to get past. So Gazza now works his way through, but right in there behind him, that's what he sees. Looking back from Gareth Williams. The man behind him that's got through already is in fact Stefan Wessels. And then Alan McCain that's lost out 2 positions with that one. So the big hitters are working their way towards the front end of the field. So for Dan Downing's point of view, thank heavens for himself that he got away initially, because 18 minutes and 10 laps into a Dan Downing that started at the front, only now does he get some close attention from the likes of Benjamin McCliskey. That is now all onto him. Can Benjamin get a good run down through Eau Rouge, up Radion, onto the Kemmel Straight? Surely Dan Dowling's going to stay on the right-hand side of the circuit. If he goes defensive, he will be all right. If he doesn't, Benny Boy might just have a look up on the inside. Benjamin McCliskey, oh, you see how Dan Downing's car just twitched as he went through there, using the whole circuit, the curbstones, and a bit more. Dan Downing's putting down some very decent pace. He's very, very highly rated on a rating of 4.62. He's the fourth highest rider that there is out there on circuit in terms of a rating in the general public. Ooh, having a look for that outside line and not being able to get through, just a tenth of a second. Benjamin McCliskey, well, let's gonna have a look, see what's happening behind him. A little bit of open ground. He's got a bit of space, has Benjamin McCliskey. 7 seconds. You can't even see who's the next car behind him. So right now, Benjamin McCliskey's got, what, 2 eyeballs, 1 visor, 1 helmet, and 1 car that interests him, and that car is directly in front of him. It's Dan Downing. Now, he cannot get held up behind Dan Downing. Not that you're going to get held up by Dan Downing, because Dan Downing is pretty much the fastest man out there. He's doing some amazing laps, and he has found himself, let's see, a 202.3 on the last lap. McCliskey 201.879. What'll it be now? Boom, on the button. Just 100th that McCliskey managed to get on Dan Downing. So he got to him. That's one thing. To get past him is another. That is the best of the fights out there. I'm pretty sure he's going to go for a passing maneuver if Dan Downing does not block out that right-hand side lane. He's got to close it off like that. And this is for the overall lead as they work their way down to what's going to be one very tight right-hander. And Benjamin McCliskey goes to the front end of the pack, eventually beating out there on a Dan Downing. Now, where's Gaza? Gaza is 7 seconds further back. Stefan Wessels directly in there behind him. Will they just run nose to tail? There comes Paul Williams. Paul Williams has got Alan McCain right in there behind him. There's Alan and Nick, the 2 sister vehicles. The Demon Tweaks sponsorship on that motor car of Nick Clibbins and Alan McCain. The 2 of them in behind. Paulie Williams. Igor Martin is a long way further back from there. He's not going to be able to run with these guys. And a 203 by Nick Clibbins, a 204 by Alan McCain. So, yeah, what can I say? That's pretty hectic stuff. But if you think that they're sitting in traffic, and Mark Sykes just did a 201, that's very quick for Mark. But keep in mind that Mark Sykes finds himself 4.7 seconds back from Igor Martinez. And Igor Martinez has done pretty much the same pace as what he has on the last lap now. Stefan Wessels closing up on the back of Gaza. Is he going to launch an attack, or is he just going to follow through? I'm not too sure. Maybe Stefan Wessels feels that Gaza's quick enough, they can close down on Dan Downing. But what about Benjamin McCliskey? Benjamin's taken a second already out of Dan Downing, the man that's led all the laps up until now. So, I don't know, can Stefan Wessels just follow through on Gaza, go and fetch Dan somehow? I mean, you can see Dan's gone into the future. 6.8 seconds. Remember that number, 6.8 seconds. That's what Gaza's got to do to get to the back end of Dan Downing that led the first 11 laps of this race. And remember, I said somebody's going to break that golden 2-minute. Benjamin McCliskey, Benji Boy, has done it. 159.981. So that makes it just 19 thousandths of a second inside of 2 minutes around this circuit. Is Gaza holding Stefan Wessels up? I don't think so. I think they're pretty much on the same pace, to be very honest with you. Well, if Stefan Wessels does go past Gaza, It'll then be interesting to see what happens thereafter if Stefan can get away. Let's go on board with Mark Baker. Now, Mark Baker is the leader in his class right now. And there he is. There's Mark Baker. So he's got ahead of Sean Skitter. Sean Skitter was leading. Let's see if we can find out. Sean Skitter went off track. That's what happened. That's when they went side by side. Sean Skitter just ran it a little bit wider. Oh, that was very, very close. Look at that. What a dogfight. And that is where Sean Skitter lost out. That is where he lost out. So that makes a big change up at the front end of the field. It's back to the Baker man. Oopsie, and running off backwards. That must have been Jorge Bentes, I think, was involved in that one. Let's see if I can pick that one up for you. Or was that Owen Patterson? Yep, that was Owen Patterson that went off. The number 15, the ORP Racing. Ooh, nice little get it back on circuit that for Owen Patterson. So Mark Baker once again leads out on the LMP3s. Jorge Bentes up into that second position. Skitter has had an incident. He must have, because he's dropped out of second. Let's see what happened to Sean Skitter in the CSA Porsche. He was doing quite fine. Comes into the last corner, gears it down and brakes at the same time. And unfortunately, that drops him down a position. He actually got it going pretty quickly, did Sean Skitter, but having been the lead car and then losing out like that, Sean Skitter now finds himself the better part of 6 seconds off the back of Mark Baker. Let's go to the front end of the LMDHs because Benjamin McCliskey has clocked out at the front end of the pack. A 2-minute 0.1. That makes him 8 tenths quicker than Dan Downing. Now, we can't even hold that camera shot on Dan Downing to have a look at Gazza, because Gazza is only there at this stage of the fight. Gazza's 5.8 off the back end. 5.8. Keep that one in mind. He's taken 8 tenths of a second in the last lap. Has Gazza. Gareth Williams with Stefan Wessels right in there behind him. 8 tenths on the last lap. McCliskey, a 0.1, a 0.8, 7 tenths. Dan Downing, that was the difference between the two of them. Gazza and Stefan, well, two within 2 tenths of a second, and that's just a little bit of a seesaw between the two of them. So remember, 5.5, Gazza to Dan Downing. A little bit further back is, in fact, Paul Williams. There he goes down the hill. Nick Cleveland's just there behind him. Then it's Alan McCain, his teammate. Igor Martinez works his way down the hill. Marky Mark should be not that far behind it. There's Mark Sykes. Duncan Murray completely out of contention for this one. It just doesn't want to work for him at all whatsoever. Owen Patterson. Oh, Owen Patterson's closed up. And he's in there behind Wesley Lewin. Now, Wesley Lewin is the last of the LDMH cars, because we've lost out on Dory Ricciuti and Craig Tillotson. Both of them are out of it. So the car bringing up the tail end of the LDMHs is then, in fact, Wesley Lewin. He's battling a bit with this one because even Sean Skitter is ahead of him. But Wesley Lewin did have an off earlier on. Let's see if I can pick it up for you. There was one of the Wesley Lewin off tracks. There was an incident just before that. There's the Nigel Stock crash. Let's see what happened to Nigel. Yep, remember, he just lost the tail end and it just kept on coming. And a little bit further on before that was that Duncan Murray incident. Purely too many cars, too small an area. made that contact, got it all sideways, got a little nip after that as well. As we go back to the live footage, and Benjamin McCliskey is still the fastest man out there. Benji boy, he is in the house, and he's doing a lovely job to stay ahead of Dan Downing, who led the first 11 laps, and from 5.4 to 4.9. Can you believe it? Oh, breaking the 2-minute barrier as well. Gareth is on the move, and I think that Stefan Wessels is pacing himself. I think that he knows that Gazza's got the pace. Just stick with him. Edge your way slowly but surely towards the front, and he will take you to the front end of the field. Gazza 4.8 behind Dan Downing, but remember, Dan Downing is losing out ground to Benjamin McCliskey. Although Gazza has done a 59.98, Benjamin has done a 59.94. So yes, it's only 400ths of a second, but lap for lap, slowly but surely, you start closing down on the man in front of you. And right now, Gazza's got open ground. He's got no problems whatsoever. Stefan just sticking there with him. They have managed to break away from Paul Williams. Paul Williams being closed down just a little earlier on by Nick Clibbins. On the last lap, Paul Williams was in fact quicker than that man, Nick Clibbins, the man that likes to have the sharp teeth on the front of his car. The two of them holding sway against Alan McCain, very much to 100th of a second on the same type of lap times that they are. That rounds out your top 7 in the LDMHs, with the fastest lap overall a 159.875, and that being done by Benjamin McCliskey. So the man in the front end once again of the LMP3s, Mark Baker. Jorge Benitez having a... I think he was third in the last time that they raced in this proto class, was Jorge Benitez. There he is. And he's got the man that led for us quite a period of time, Sean Skitter, directly in there behind him. Let's ride on board with Sean Skitter. Down towards Bruxelles. Nice and smooth. Oh no, that's a lot further than Bruxelles. Where am I? That was through Stavelot. Now they work their way through Courbevoie, through Blanchimont. Just hold your foot flat, time it nice and neatly, hold it in 5th gear, right up into the maximum revs in 5th gear. Now hard on the brakes, very hard on the brakes. Miss the sausage curb, miss the sausage curb. Oh, the apex, get the hammer down, just counter steer it slightly, and off you go again. Right, let's do a lap with him. Down towards La Source, riding on board with Sean Skitter, 3rd in the LMP3 class. Down past the start-finish line, down towards Eau Rouge, 4th gear, 5th gear. Let's have a look at the dashboard and see what kind of speeds he can pick up there. 240, 5th gear, over the rise. On his way down the Kemmel Straight, 252 kilometers an hour in 5th gear, 253, 254. That's basically terminal speed. Now you got to slow it all down into Les Carmes, turn it back through Malmedy, downhill. You can't see the entrance to the corner initially very easily. There you can see the entrance to the corner, down into Bruxelles. Play with the accelerator. Get off that curbstone, straight across to the opposite side of the circuit, through Speaker's Corner. Make sure you don't pick up any penalty points there. Down the hill towards the double gauche. Now, oh, there comes the, I think it's probably, let's pick up that one. That was Duncan Murray that just came past him. There you can see it on the right-hand side, Duncan Murray. So, two different classes of cars. Duncan Murray in the LDMH, you can just see the superiority of the motor cars. We ride on board with Sean Skitter, the man that led a whole bunch of laps before he got himself a little bit wide, got passed by Mark Baker, the man that was leading them out in the previous round, round number 2. And then Jorge Benitez, Sean Skitter right in there behind him. Oh, flips that curve slow. Can he close down? Oh, he goes up to 6th gear. Right onto the back bumper. Goes in very deep, but he'll probably lose out on the exit to the corner by doing that. Yep, look how that gap opens up. Coming in hard and late, but not getting the perfect exit. And that's a full lap. That is a full lap around the circuit. You just saw what it looked like from the Sean Skitter car, what it's like to do a full lap around the circuit. So let's have a look at the gains and losses right now. Benjamin, 11 positions up. The biggest flyer of all of them is in fact that man in the red mean machine. He's completed 18 laps. He's on his way down towards a Rouge. Benjamin McCluskey is now 5 seconds ahead of Dan Downing. That's Nigel Stock that is there with him. So that's 2 completely different classes. Where's Gaza? There comes Gaza. If we look back from Gaza's cars, Alan McCain's in the pits. Looking back from Gareth Williams to Stefan Wessels. Stefan's staying pretty much equidistant from the back end of Gareth. I still say I think he's pacing himself to stay there. Is he going to? Nope. I almost thought for a second there. Commentator's curse going to prove me wrong. The national flag in there behind the back wheel as they work their way past Nigel Stock. It somehow seems as if Stefan is just pacing it. Gaza 3.4 off Dan Downing, 8 positions up, 9 positions for the man directly behind him. Gaza's actually got himself a little bit of breathing space at the moment now, 0.7 of a second between the two of them. Let's watch that last piece as they come through underneath the DHL bridge from the blimp. The next gen blimp that's up in the sky, our eye in the sky upstairs. Going into that very last bend. And out into the straight they go. That's what it looks like from our eye in the sky. Gaza Williams. Stefan Wessels. So if you have a look at that gains, oh, Dan Downing's gone in. Dan Downing has gone into the pits. Probably find we'll battle to get a shot of Dan Downing in the pit lane. It's very difficult to see into the pits. There you can see there's the yellow and white standing. That's Dan Downing, and it looks like there's a good couple of guys that's coming in. That's Paul Williams, Nick Clebens, Igor Martinez, and Mark Sykes. They've all dived into the pits. That's their early pit stops. And Mark is still on his way in there. He stops just in front of him. So that is all the guys that are in right now. Benjamin McCluskey is still out there on circuit, working his way past Mark Baker. So that'll put Mark Baker 1 lap down in real terms. There you can see everybody that is still in the pit lane. Mark Sykes, Paul Williams, Igor Martinez, and Nick Clebens. Dan Downing also now into the pits. And there the guys are starting to move their way out of that pit lane. On the pit exit, Williams is going to be the first man that comes out there. Igor Martinez, Clebens, and then Mark Sykes that comes out behind him. And then the leader, Benjamin McCluskey, works his way into the pit lane. Now, how far is he ahead of Gaza. Gaza not that far behind him, but I think Gaza's going to be coming in as well. Yep, Gaza comes into the pit lane. Where's Stefan Wessels? Right there behind him. So the big hitters, they've got the rev limiters on. Is any of them going to get some form of advantage over the others? Benjamin is the man that was in there first. He should be the first one to get out as well. Oh, it'll feel like forever as you're sitting in the pit lane just waiting. McCliskey's off the jacks. McCliskey's off the jacks, but is it going to be enough for him to get out first ahead of the others? This is in fact the real deal battle, which is standing right there. Who's going to get their settings correctly? Oh, he climbs on the gas. It's McCliskey's the first one that gets away. Is it going to be Gaza or Stefan? Gaza or Stefan? Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Gaza or Stefan? Oh, pretty much. They must have had the exact same settings. It must have been, because Gaza was literally half a car length in front of him when they went into the pits, and he has now stayed just ahead of him as well. So almost the exact same settings. Now that's 40 minutes into 2 hours of racing. Do they need to do a second stop? It's realistically possible. But now Gaza's got to make up his mind. Do I now try and go and fetch that man, Benjamin McCliskey? 10.7 seconds that Gaza has got to catch up. 10.7. And he's got Stefan Wessels behind him. Stefan Wessels now has got to make up his mind. Okay, do I now just follow through with Gaza? And Gaza should be able to catch him. We can go and fetch him. Because looking back from Stefan Wessels to Paul Williams, there's more than half a minute. That's a long time. So he doesn't have to worry about what's happening behind him. Stefan Wessels has now got to decide, do I leave Gaza alone? Let him do the fastest laps that he possibly can, and we go and fetch Benjamin, and then I'll fight both of them. Or does Stefan say, look, buddy, you're not going to get to him. Let me have a go. I'll get past you. I'll go and see if I can go and fetch him. If you can stick with me, that's fine. That's your buzz. But I'm going to go and fetch him. That is going to be the storyline that we're going to be bringing to you. And for those of you that have just joined us, whereabouts are we? Well, I can tell you that we are in the friendly city, which has got a lovely place called Spa-Francorchamps, one of the most amazing circuits that there is out there. And if you ever get a chance to go to the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, it looks something like this. There's the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. You can see the start-finish line. They're actually between the chicane and La Source is where they pull away. Through La Source, down the hill from that on that official start-finish line, through Radion and Eau Rouge, along the Kemmel straight up towards Lacombe, Malmedy, Bruxelles. That's that downhill blind entry, Speaker's Corner of the wall on the right-hand side, the double gaucher, where you've got to play through the first part of that corner heavily on the accelerator to it feels like you're going too slow through the first section, but to be fast for the rest of the double gaucher down to Les Fonds, you've got to be a little bit slower going in there. Campus, Stavelot, Blanchimont, flat foot if you've got the ironies for it, and then going through to the final chicane and back towards the start-finish line. So that's what that track map looks like if you are at a Spa-Francorchamps. We are now 42 minutes into the 2 hours. The lead man is Benjamin McCliskey. He is 11 seconds ahead of Gareth Gaza Williams, who's got Stefan Wessels that's sniffing his fumes lap for lap for a long time already. He hasn't backed out whatsoever. He stayed right there. Stefan Wessels, what does he do? Can he get past Gaza? I don't know. Either way, they're quick enough to stay ahead of Paul Williams, holding that a 33-second gap. And Paul Williams has got Igor Martinez, Nick Clemens. That gap hasn't changed much at all. Duncan Murray, the South African, on a major fight back. He's found himself in deep waters after the incident that he had. And, well, now he's got Marky Mark in there behind him as well. Mark Sykes not taking no for an answer. And the NXTGEN Racing orange methanol munching mean machine. Mark, he's got that 8 on the side of his car. Why? Because he's in that 8th position. Is him. Alan McCain, not a happy camper. It didn't work out for him in the Demon Tweaks car. And, yeah, he's got the teammate Nick Clibbins. Even worse, Wesley Lewin. He finds himself completely out of it. 38 seconds off the back end of the pack. And that's not nice for him whatsoever. And he won't be happy with that one. Let's have a look at the gains and losses as we keep an eye on Wesley Lewin. Down 9 positions for Wesley. Jorge Bentes has now gone to the front end of the field. So how did that one happen? Let's see if we can find that one for you. Jorge Bentes, where did he make the passing maneuver? Because he was not in front. There we go. Jorge Bentes passes Mark Baker. Jorge Bentes in the 11 car. Or was that maybe just with the pit stop? No, it was with the pit stop that one happened, because they didn't go off the circuit at all. Only thing that happened before that was the Sean Skitter incident. And that looked something like this. 2 into 1. Does not go. Oh, Sean Skitter getting it back on the track as quick as what he possibly could. Jorge Bentes is into the pits. Mike Riedner is in there as well. Nigel Stock is also in there. There you can see all of them in the pit lane. This will be for their first pit stops. All of them, I think. Yep, yeah, all of them. That's their first pit stops. Trevor Evans, the only man that has not been into the pits yet. Mark Sykes still over the back end of Duncan Murray. Bit late on the brakes, but he managed to save that one. Duncan Murray is having a hard time. Let's have a look at the last lap times that they did. Duncan Murray at 203.3, Mark Sykes at 203.3, nothing much in it. The top 3 all running 2-minute flat. McCliskey, Williams and Vessels. Gaza taking 3/10 out of Benjamin. 3/10 out of 11 seconds. That's 33 laps at the rate he's going now. It'll take him 33 laps. We're 46 minutes into it. I don't think, yeah, there's probably about another 33 laps in it in total. So as we watch Mark Sykes on the back end of Duncan Murray, Gaza has got to turn the wick up. 3/10 is not enough. If he wants to go fetch Benjamin, and remember, catching Benjamin McCliskey is one thing, passing him is another. So Gaza's going to have to step up on the pace, and or Stefan is going to have to go past Gaza to go and fetch Benjamin. But right now, the man that dominates is Benjamin McCliskey. BM's got it all together. Coming up behind Trevor Evans. He'll just blast past Trevor Evans. 2 different types of motor car. The one being an LDMH, the other one being an LMP3. Major difference in the top end speed. A 1 minute 59.895. Benjamin McCliskey on the last lap, which means he is actually made a bit of a bigger gap between himself. He's taken 3/10 out of Gaza. I think Benjamin's got it, and that's a hell of a long shot that I'm taking. With 48 minutes gone out of 2 hours, that's a massive statement to make. But what can I say? If you're good, you're good. Benjamin McCliskey is very, very good. There's no doubt about it. He knows how to pedal around the island, and he's doing it in classic form right now. Let's go to our leader in the LMP3s. That's Mark Baker. Mark Baker looking pretty good. He doesn't seem to have any problems at this stage of the fight. Just having a look here and looking at some of the stats. Lovely to see how many people there are that actually watch Next Gen Racing. It's brilliant stuff. It's some of the best racing that you are going to see in the sim racing. The iRacing platform as such has grown phenomenally as we ride with Mark Baker, that finds himself, yep, there he is in the same shot. That is Jorge Benitez. Duncan Marie and Mark Sykes coming up behind him. They're going to just blow past him the first time they get a little bit of open ground like that. They'll just blow past on the inside. So for those of you that have just joined us, where are we? This is where we are. It's Next Gen Racing, season number 4 in the Proto Series, a 2-hour race from Spa-Francorchamps. And we've got to say a big thanks to all of our sponsors: Mark Sykes Designs, Joyce Design, Higgins Motorsport, Sam Cases. These are all the guys that do the necessaries in the background to make it possible. Esports UK, the recommended esports community, a big thanks to them as well. Motorsport UK, got to be proud to be part of that. Douglas Motorsport on board with us for this season as well. It's fantastic to have these kind of people that support us. Benji Sim Photos, and they've been with us for quite a period of time already, has Benji Sim. And Mark Sykes Designs. Mark Sykes doing a lot of work in the background to make it possible for me to have all the necessary info for you guys. So that just gives you an idea of who's behind it all and making it possible for you to enjoy the racing. And in fact, today's racing is brought to you by none other than Second Gear Productions, Gary Fleming. It's great to be with you guys for these races with Next Gen. As we go to Benjamin McCliskey, he's coming up behind Alan McCain. So you'll be putting a lap on Alan McCain. Second Gear with Gary Gazer Fleming is the other side of Second Gear Productions. Second Gear Productions bringing you this Next Gen production, but Second Gear on Facebook on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock GMT, not EST. And that brings all the latest motorsport news in and around South Africa, and then also international racing as well. We cover MotoGP, obviously, Formula One, and DTM, Deutsche Tourenmotor. We also follow the GB4. One of our local lads is taking part in that as well. And the DTM, Sean and his brother in the Van der Linde boys that take part in that. So we cover all that kind of motorsport, but that's with Second Gear Talk Show, and this is Second Gear Production. Stefan Wessels has gone past Gaza. Stefan Wessels has decided, buddy, you're not going to make it. I'm going to have a go at it. And Stefan Wessels actually had an off track as well. Let's see what happened to Stefan. Probably just all four wheels on the outside of the racing line. Yes. Let's see where Stefan Wessels actually went. Oh, he's been off track more than once. He's obviously been pushing it very, very hard. Because there, okay, that's also just using the outer edges of the circuit. There's another incident. Is this also just using all four wheels on the outside? Yep. So he's had a couple of times that he's actually been off the circuit as such, and using all the ground that is available to him. But that has put Stefan Wessels ahead of the man that maybe was holding him up, or maybe the man that he was purely following. Gaza went off track as well. Was that also just using the outside curbstones? Yep, that's the exact same position. So there's nothing in that in terms of them changing positions. So now we are on 55 minutes. We've got a minute. We've got an hour and 5 to go as we follow Benjamin McCliskey. So Stefan Wessels, remember this number, 13.2. Stefan Wessels with open ground in front of him, 13.2. Well, it was 13.2. It's 13.3 now to Benjamin McCliskey. On the last lap, Stefan Wessels did pass Gaza Williams, but that meant that both of them were a half a second slower than Benjamin McCliskey. Can they turn up the wick now and do sub 2-minute laps and go and fetch Benjamin McCliskey? I think Benji's got it. There's Gaza. Paul Williams a long way back. He's on his way past that start finish line down towards the source. Igor Martinez right in there with him. There's Igor Martinez. And behind that is Nick Clibbins. Wesley Lewin has gone back into the pits. Lovely shot that as you go through Radion. Massively fast part of the circuit. Nick Clibbins trying to close down on the back end of Igor Martinez. But if anything, Igor Martinez is actually a little bit closer to the car in front of him. Let's see if we can pick up a chopper shot of that. There we go. That's what it looks like from the chopper. And at that point, they decide to go behind the trees just to mess up our camera shot. There's our blimp, our next-gen blimp. That's eye in the sky. Igor Martinez on the back end of Paul Williams. Not that far behind him, Nick Clibbins. Clibbins the faster of the pack, 6/10 quicker than Igor and Paul on the last lap. But can he make the difference in actually making the passing maneuver? That's what it's all about. They've got a big gap between himself and the recovering Duncan Murray. And the big news at the front end of the pack, that man, giant killer, Stefan Wessels, is not closing on Benjamin McCliskey. It was 13.2, 13.3, now it is 13.4, and in fact 3/10 Stefan Wessels is slower than Benjamin McCliskey. So Benjamin is the man that is to be caught right now. There is nobody quicker than him, even giant killer Stefan Wessels or multi-talented Gareth Williams. is not able to close on the back end of Benjamin McCluskey. Can Mark Baker lead out in the LMP3s all the way to the end? Well, on previous experience, yes he can. Mark Baker, very, very smooth, doing 2 minute 14 on the last lap. Obviously, he's, as we said, we showed you earlier on, he's 1 lap down is Mark Baker on the back end of Benjamin McCluskey, but that's because it's 2 different cars, it's 2 different classes, hence the situation that you have where you have this big speed difference, cornering and a straight line between the 2 different types of cars. But due to the very high I rating of all the drivers that's out there, you don't see a lot of, if any, incidents of guys getting past slower traffic like this one. Benjamin McCluskey going past Mark Baker. So as they come across the line, Mark Baker, the leader of his class, just being passed by Benjamin McCluskey, the leader in his class. Mark Baker doing a fine job. Jorge Benitez in the exact same straight as what he is. And he's got a shadow. That shadow is called Owen Patterson. And Owen has taken 6/10 out of Jorge Benitez on the last lap. 6/10, that's massive that Owen Patterson has taken. In fact, is quicker even than the man that's leading out the class. Owen Patterson is on the move. Let's see what is the fastest lap time that's been done by Owen Patterson. 2 minute 12.7, and Jorge has not broken the 13 barrier. Mark has not broken the 13 barrier. Owen Patterson is the only man in the LMP3 class that has managed to break the 2 minute 13 barrier. So Owen Patterson is the fastest man in the class right now. But can he make up the ground that he needs to? I think so. Owen Patterson has just been passed by Gaza, so it's not a problem for him. But he's got anything else coming from behind. Let's right on board and see what it looks like. Owen Patterson, third in class. Who's in front of him? The man that he wants to get to, Jorge Benitez. Jorge has now also been passed by the faster cars, the lead 3. How do you now close down all that extra space? It's just 1 second off Jorge Benitez. It took a half a second out of him in the last lap. Was that because Jorge was held up or made a slight mistake? Let's see when they come across the line what is going to be. Oh, that's a biggie, and that's going to cost him that from a second position. Jorge Benitez, he was feeling the pressure. He was feeling the pressure. He knew that Patterson was on his way. Patterson was closing down hand over fist. Owen Patterson, let's see what his last lap time was, even though he went the long way around. Oh, that long way around has cost him 2 seconds. No, it's 1.6 that it took him extra because he went all the way around the outside on the last corner. As we ride on board with Owen Patterson, the man that is second in class right now. And that because of the spin of Jorge Benitez. Looking pretty smooth, not pushing it too hard. Playing with that accelerator. Nice and early on the brakes. Late apex. Comes out pretty tight. Doesn't use the curbstone on the outside. Make sure that he stays away from the wall. Oh, a little bit too close there to Speaker's corner. Down towards the double gaucher. From there it's flat foot. All the way. Oh, runs into the limiting fourth. Up into fifth. Underneath the Allianz Bridge. So that's what it looks like on board with the fastest LMP3 out there right now. And somebody else that's decided he wants to move up. Top 5, lovely. But he wants to go just a little bit further forward. And he's got his sights. Igor Martinez has got his sights on that man. Oh, trying to get through. Igor Martinez getting past the Paul Williams car without too much difficulty. He made that look pretty good. Let's see if we can actually pick up that one for you, and let's have a look from the outside as Igor Martinez made that passing maneuver. That's brave. That's big. That's brave. That's big-hearted. You've got to have big eyes to do that. Ah, bravo, written on the side of the car, and bravo, Igor Martinez. That was a lovely piece of driving. Let's have a look at the Jorge Benitez situation. Jorge Benitez, that turned it around all by himself. Yep, just trying a little bit too hard now is Jorge Benitez. And the reason why he's trying so hard is because of the previous incident that he had. And that's when he was under a lot of pressure from Owen Patterson. Comes into the last complex of corners just a little bit too hard. Overruns it. Tries to recover it. There you see goes right around the outside to make sure that they don't make any contact. Does Owen Patterson. And that is how he made up that additional position. So let's have a look from the top end down, and let's have a bigger picture than that. There we go. Benjamin McCluskey. Yep, I don't believe anybody's going to catch him. Even though on the last lap Stefan Wessels was notably quicker. Benjamin smooth, Mr. Comfortable right up front, and there's just nobody in his class today. Even that man, Stefan Wessels, having got past Gaza. I think Gazza's just pretty much holding on to him exactly the same as what he did with Gareth. He sat behind Gareth. They just paced themselves, followed one another's lines, used the slipstream. Although Stefan is getting slightly away from him. If Stefan can get a little bit further, Gazza's going to lose that toe. Let's see as they work their way down the Kimmel Straight. Can he get the slipstream? 0.8, 0.7. Still too far back. It's just not helping enough. Only took a tenth of a second out there. So Gazza's got to get just a little bit closer if he wants to use that slipstream. Paul Williams, 46 seconds further back. Inside of the top 4. That's where he wants to be. He's got Igor there behind him. Paul did a 2:02. Igor did a 2:07. So there was a slow lap for Igor. Didn't work out very nicely for him because Igor Martinez did go off the track. That's what happened to Igor Martinez. Well, he actually got it back pretty quickly. But yeah, it cost him. It cost him pretty bad. And that's why Igor Martinez is 4.8 seconds behind Paul Williams. Marky Mark having one of his best in the 666. As he works his way through Radial. And he's getting a bit lonely out there because not even in the same camera shot. Maybe we can get it. Let's see. Nope, not even in the same camera shot. There comes Nick Libbins, 18 seconds off him. Some pretty decent times being put in there by Nick Libbins. But yeah, a couple of little offs here and there, and he is way ahead of Duncan Murray by 21 seconds. Duncan Murray has got himself past Alan McCain, but Alan's not completely out of it. And 1 minute 55 further back, different ball game. Wesley Lewin. The two LDMHs that's completely out of it is Dan Downing and Dory Ricciuti. they've packed it up for the day and said, nah, not for me. Not for me. Mark Baker, he knows how to lead races. Did it 2 weeks back and he's doing it now again. And he's got 5 seconds in hand as he on the quickest man just now out there, which was Owen Patterson. Owen Patterson has closed down, even though he's got traffic. Owen Patterson has closed on Mark Baker. Not a lot, just 2 tenths. So 5 laps will give you a second. 25 laps will do it. There is about 25 laps still in it. So Owen Patterson has not written off the opportunity. The young lad of ORP Racing has not given up on the idea of flashing the lights saying, here comes Johnny, you need to make space for me. Owen Patterson working his way through there on whatever else is anywhere near him. It's looking very, very good. Is Owen Patterson. 2 minutes 13.2, 2 minutes 13.4 for Mark Baker. Is Skitter in the game as well? Well, he was up until right now. How's that for the perfect opportunist from a camera point of view? As you click on the man, it all goes wrong for him. Sean Skitter just crashed and took the back end of that car away. There you see the South African Sean Skitter in the CSA Porsche entry. Yeah, he backed right out of the gas, but it was too late. Mashes the back end of the car. I'm sure that's going to make that Skitter's got to come back into the pits. There's no ways he's going to be able to make it from there. Yeah, he's on his way back to the pits. And where is he? I think he is in the pit lane. Yep, there he is. So busy with a serious rebuild on that motor car. Does that affect that man, Mark Baker? Not at all. He doesn't mind. He's not worried. He's got 4.8 seconds. Mark Baker at 2:14.4, 2:14.1. Owen Patterson. Owen Patterson is closing. Oh, he's blindingly quick, is Owen Patterson. Another 3 tenths. That's 6 tenths of a second that he's taken in 2 laps. That's massive. Wow, 3 tenths. What's 3? But 3 plus 3 is 6. Do that again. You're just outside of a second in 3 laps that you're taking off the man in front of you. That's big. That's massive. Owen Patterson is on the move. He's taken 4 tenths out of Jorge Bentes, but Bentes is 16 seconds behind him. Skitter still in the pits. He's dropped off the back end of the pack. Disaster for him. And he led a whole bunch of laps in the beginning of this race, did Skitter. I think he's just maybe very positive in the beginning and very much on it. Then that slight error, started to doubt himself, then started pushing a little bit harder to try and make up, then made an error, then overcooked it completely, made a second error, broke the whole back of the car off, and well, Sean Skitter is now still in the pits. So I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe don't even see him coming out again, because at this stage of the fight, Jorge and I think Jorge Bentes is in that 3rd position in class. Let's go and have a look, see at Jorge Bentes. There he is. I see Mateus Ribeiro saying, let's go to Jorge and Igor, but that was a couple of minutes back when they were closer to one another. Sorry, Mateus, I just saw that one now. Having a look at the comments that's coming up from the people that are busy watching the live. Coming to you in 1440p, 60 frames per second by Second Gear Productions. Gary Gaza Fleming, Mike Side with you for Next Gen Racing. Lap 36, Spa-Francorchamps Protos, LDMHs and LMP3s out there on circuit. Benjamin McCliskey, the man that has done the fastest lap. And in fact, he's just gone even quicker, 1:59.781 on the last lap out there. We haven't seen Benjamin for a while because he's just gone. There he is. Benjamin McCliskey. He's just passed Michael Ridner. 11 positions up at the front end of the field at 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Let's see when Stefan comes through, what kind of lap time does he put up. 3/10 quicker, and Stefan is pulling away from Gaza. He's taken 3/10 out of Gaza, and he's taken 3/10 out of the leader Benjamin McCliskey, but still 11 seconds off, and that with 1 hour 14 minutes gone. Just over 3/4 of an hour still to go. I don't believe that Stefan Wessels is going to be able to dominate this one. Alan McCain has gone into the pits. Wesley Lewin is a long way behind him, so Alan's got a bit of time to get the car sorted out and make sure that he gets back out on track to not lose that position. Paul Williams very gingerly coming through there. A 2:01.9 on his previous lap. Igor Martinez is into the pits. Paul does a 2:01.3, so consistent times there. Igor Martinez into the pits. Why would he go into the pits again? That's surely, it's going to show up as his second stop. Yep, so it looks like it's going to be 2 stops for most everybody by the looks of it. So Igor Martinez, if that is the case, if I've got it right, that means that Igor Martinez is the first of the top 5 to go into the pits for his second stop. So Marky Mark moves up 1 into the top 5. But remember, Mark, Paul, Gareth, Stefan and Benjamin, none of them have done a second pit stop. Nick Libbins has had an early stop. Hopefully for Nick, he doesn't have to make an additional stop. Let's see what was the pit lap that Nick went in on. Was lap number 30, so he's just had a pit stop 8 laps back was Nick Libbins. So I tend to think that he will make it through towards the end of the race without having to go in again. Stefan Wessels and Benjamin McCliskey both up 11 positions. Started at the back of the pack, worked their way right through to the front. Gaza still holding sway in there behind them. Gareth's doing a lovely job, I must say. And a big thanks to what he puts into all of this as well. A big thanks to IMB Raceway for their input into Next Gen Racing. And back to the races we go. Paul Williams has now come in. So Williams just outside of the top 3 decides it's time to go in. Mark Sykes goes in as well. Marky Mark's also into the pits. So the boys making the earlier pit stops to, there you can see, there's the second one coming in. So Paul Williams has already stopped. Mark is the lights that you see coming towards you. He comes and stops at the front end of the pit. As the rest of the guys are going through. It's actually a beautiful camera shot that, if you think about it, that's looking from the chicane coming towards La Source and then going down on your left hand side. Oh, another one. Oh, here's the big hitters are coming in. Benjamin McCliskey is already in. Stefan Wessels is on his way in. Gaza right behind. Now, can Gaza somehow do a shorter pit stop and get ahead of Stefan Wessels? There's been nothing between them whatsoever. Benjamin off the jacks already, so Benjamin will be quite fine. It's Mark Sykes that you saw on the left hand side of your picture that just left the pits. So this is the front runners. Surely Benjamin's going to be the first man out there, and he should leave them a good 10 seconds. Have they somehow made up something in the pit stops to be less than 10 seconds? It doesn't look like it. Alright. I told you. They got the exact same settings. Stefan Wessels ahead there of Gaza, and that's how they went in. That's how they come out. Where is Nick Clibbins? Nick Clibbins is a long way further back from them. 1 minute and 40 seconds, in fact. So it's the front three. Then it's brother Nick, the Shark Man. 11 seconds ahead of that man, Paul Williams. We go past Owen Patterson. Has Owen Patterson closed up on Mark Baker? There's Mark Baker. And there is Owen Patterson. Oh, Owen's closing up. Let's have a look, see what are the lap times this time around. Mark does a 2 minute 14.8, a 2 minute 13.0, 1.8 seconds. Owen Patterson, I'm going to hazard a guess, is on his way to the front end of the pack. Mark Baker has dominated it all along, but on present form, if Owen can keep the hammer down the way he is, he's doing some amazing lap times. Owen Patterson 2 minute 13.0, the leader 2 minute 14.8. That's a hell of a difference between them. Owen Patterson's got a little bit of open ground in front of him, but not that much. You'll see there's no cars between Owen Patterson and Mark Baker. Both Mark Baker and Owen Patterson up 8 positions, 3.19 between the two of them. Let's ride on board and see if he can possibly see his, for lack of a better word, target in front of him. 3 seconds is a long way when you're doing these speeds. Yep, yeah, that's the car he's looking for. And it's in his sights. Owen Patterson on Mark Baker, the man that's leading the LMP3's 1 hour 20 that's gone of this 2 hour race from the iconic Spa-Francorchamps. Oh, changing it early, not running it very high in the revs as he goes through the corner, using the torque of that motor. Just opens up there for Duncan Murray. Duncan Murray in the LDMH. You can see the pace of the LDMH as opposed to the LMP3. A light lift off as he goes through there for Owen Patterson. It's almost like he's short shifting, so obviously doesn't want to let the tail end get away from him. Oh, that was very, very neat. That was the neatest I've seen through there. Mark Baker, 2 minutes 13.571. Owen Patterson, 2 minutes 12.8. Can you believe it? 0.7 of a second down to 2.2 seconds. There you see Duncan Murray going past Mark Baker just in front. The yellow one that went through there, that's Duncan Murray. And the LDMH as we still right on board with Owen Patterson. This is the closest and most exciting thing that's happening out there right now. Can he close down on the back end of Mark Baker for LMP3 top honors? All the data shows that yes, he can. Is there any differences between the two of them in terms of pit stops? No, they've both done one pit stop. Is there any difference between the two of them in gains and losses? No, they've both moved up 8 positions. When did they last go into the pits? One on lap 19 and one on lap 20. What is the pit time? The time that they were out of it and standing still, a 32.6 as a 33.6. So Mark Baker taking 1 second and making it his own in terms of the pit stops as such on Owen Paterson. But other than that, if you take the total pit lane time from the time they go into the pits until the time they come out, Mark Baker less than a second, in fact 3 seconds. Mark Baker was quicker in and out from the entrance to the pit to the exit of the pits than what was the case with Owen Paterson, and that's probably saved him, because 3 seconds is more than the gap between the two of them right now. So that just shows you how important it is to have your settings correct when you go into the pits, to make sure that you get. And Mark Baker's gone in. Mark Baker has gone into the pits. This is for his next stop, which means Owen Paterson goes to the front. Paterson will need open ground in front of him so he can get in one of his flying laps. And he has got open space in front of him, because the next man in front of him is in fact Sean Skitter. But he's got 3.3 seconds between himself and Sean. The recovering Sean Skitter that finds himself in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th position on a bit of a recovery as Mark Baker comes out of the pits. There he works his way out. Stay on the inside of the blend line. Work your way down the hill towards Eau Rouge. So Nigel Stock has in fact gotten past him as well. Where's Nigel Stock? There's Nigel. He comes up over the crest of the hill. But has Nigel still got another pit stop to do? Yes, he has. Mark has done his 2. Owen's still got 1 to go. Nigel's still got 1 to go. Mike Regner's still got 1 to go, which will probably put Jorge Benitez then in front of him, which would mean Jorge Benitez would then get himself into, probably with a bit of luck, Jorge might end up with a 3rd position overall. So the LMP3 dice is not over yet. Talking about a dice, Stefan Wessels, he's on the back of Gaza. Gaza Williams has actually got past Stefan Wessels, and that is why, oh, he took it very gingerly, because Stefan Wessels had an incident. Here they come towards us, coming up behind the slower car. He climbed on the brakes and tried to make a plan. Gaza makes 100% sure that he doesn't make contact. And that is how the swap came between Stefan Wessels and Garrett Williams. Interesting stuff. Sean Skitter's in the pits. Very, very interesting. So all the top boys in the LDMH have all been in for their 2 stops. Owen Paterson and Nigel Stock have not been in for their stops at all. They've both got to still go into the pits. What's the last lap time for Owen Paterson? 2 minute 12.7, 2 minute 13 by Nigel. But he's a 37-second gap between them. But Owen has still got to go for that other pit stop. There you can see Owen Paterson and Nigel both have to go for the pit stops. That'll bring Mark Baker back into the front of the pack, or second, depending on how long it takes Owen Paterson in and out of the pits. There you can see Owen still a long way. Oh, that looks like Benjamin McCliskey coming up behind him. Benjamin McCliskey. Let's go on board with Benjamin and see what it looks like when you close up. That's riding on board with Benjamin McCliskey onto the back. Oh, Paterson's gone! Paterson's gone! He went off track. He was doing it all right. It's chaos. Utter chaos. It can't be. How did he do that? Owen Patterson's gone and thrown it all the way. The ORP racing car, oh, he got bang into the wall on top of it. How much damage has he done? That opens the door for Baker. What a turn up for the books. Who would have possibly thought that that could happen? So, let's have a look back at that one. Owen Patterson. Oh, he's going slowly back to the pits as well, trying to stay out of the way. He's got to go in now. He's got to go in. What about Nigel? What's Nigel going to do? Here comes Nigel now through Blanchimont. Stays out of the way of Alan McCain. Surely Nigel's going to come into the pits. He's the only man of, or one of very few that has not come in. No, he's going to go around further. He's going to keep on trucking. Where's Mark Baker? Mark Baker, here he comes. Owen Patterson is still in the pits. Here comes Mark Baker. Where is Owen Patterson? There's Owen Patterson, and there is Mark Baker. Where's Patterson now? Oh, he's only now coming out of the pit lane. So, Mark Baker goes to second position. But remember, Nigel has not been in yet. So, Mark Baker, after that mistake by Owen Patterson, finds himself 9 seconds ahead. And 9 seconds in a half an hour. With so little difference between the cars, I don't think he's going to be able to make that up. He was going very, very well, but it's just too much. It's just too much. Nigel Stock leads out the other MP3s. A long, long way from the pits. Let's hope he hasn't stretched it too far that he ends up running out of fuel. He'll know on his dash that he is the leader in the class. He will know that the total time lost in the pits is quite a bit. If you look at that, easily 50 seconds from the time you enter until you exit. But keep in mind that that is from the beginning, well, from the exit of the chicane to the exit of La Source. That you've got to race on the track, which is a good couple of seconds. So you'll probably find there's about 42 seconds in it in total. Nigel Stock, we watch him closely. How has it worked out for Nigel? 3 positions up. Mark and Owen, that's there behind him, both 7 positions up. If he goes in now, I'm going to hazard. Yep, he's got to come in. He's got to come in. Ooh, he almost hit the wall. That was very, very close. So into the pits he goes, and here comes Marky Mark. Mark Baker is going to go past Nigel. Where is Owen Patterson? There comes Owen now. So he'll go past Nigel. Now what about Jorge Bentes? Where's Jorge Bentes? There comes Jorge Bentes. So that means that he's probably going to go ahead of Nigel as well. Let's see, can he make it? Yep, he does. Jorge Bentes back up into that 3rd position. Where is Nigel? Nigel is going to leave the pits now. Jorge already on his way down the hill towards Arouge. Interesting stuff on the half hour. An hour and a half of racing gone already. Jorge up into that 3rd position. So let's have a look from the front end down. And for those of you that have just joined us, where are we? We are at Spa-Francorchamps. We're in the prototypes. It's season 4. It's round number 4 from the iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Benjamin McCliskey, well, nobody going to catch him from there unless we've seen people make mistakes and drop down. Look at Owen Patterson. Owen had it. He was the quickest man out there, but it shows you how hard he was pushing. Benjamin, Mr. Smooth McCliskey, leads out from Gareth Gaza Williams that got passed after an error by the speedster, Stefan Wessels. Nick Gibbons inside the top 5, but 41 seconds away from the 3 big hitters. The Sharkman still doing well. Either way, he's in that 4th position. Is young Nick, the iRacing Esports entry. Quite a serious blue paint job on that motor car. 13 seconds further back, rounding out the top 5 in the LDMHs. The 7 car of Paul Williams. Close attendance, Igor Martinez. Let's have a look at the lap times as they come through. Paul Williams. Oh, Martinez actually closed on him. Martinez taking a half a second on the last lap. So keep an eye on that one. 1.8 between Igor Martinez and Paul Williams. Realistically possible that there could still be a passing maneuver in that. Marky Mark, 35 seconds further back in the next gen car, the 666. The 666 as he works his way after the chicane down towards La Saw. Let's get that battle box back up for you. This we can see exactly who's in front of Mark Sykes. It's Nigel Stock, 6 seconds ahead of him, so that's not a train smash. But he does have Benjamin McCliskey that wants to come up from behind and put a lap on him. Benjamin McCliskey, the lead car, 3 seconds behind Mark Sykes, who's the 7th place car. And there is the 2 of them in the same shot. Mark Sykes ahead of sweating it out, battling Duncan Murray down in 8th position. He's in a big void because Alan McCain is a long way back from him. 28 seconds ain't gonna work for him whatsoever. Marky Mark leading out the LMP3s from Owen Patterson. Now, having made that error, as Owen Patterson closed up, oh yes he has, 6 tenths. Owen's on the move. Can you believe it? 6 tenths quicker than the man that is trying to chase down young ORP Racing's Owen Patterson. 6 tenths quicker. Let's see the next time they go through. A 2-minute 14.481 by Mark Baker. Can Owen stay under the 2-minute 14 mark? 2 minutes 13.9. Takes a whole second. So that means it's going to take 7 laps. That's about 15 minutes. Add that to 1 hour 36. It's 140. It's 151 at the present rate now. With around about 9 minutes to go, Owen Patterson will get onto the tail end of Mark Baker. Should Mark Baker not be able to go any quicker, should Owen Patterson not end up going any slower, with 9 minutes to go, according to the present telemetry, Owen Patterson is going to be on the back end of Mark Baker. Jorge Bentes, he's a bit lonely right now. 16 seconds further back. 3rd overall in class. You'll see the number 3 on the side of his car. He's got Trevor Evans behind him, but he's a lap ahead of Trevor. Benjamin McCliskey will be coming up to pass them. So let's ride on board with Benjamin McCliskey as he comes up between the slower cars. There's the first one. Past Trevor Evans he goes. Jorge Bentes, LMP3, 3rd overall in class. This is where you'll see the speed difference come into it. And the handling capacity. Look at the closing on the corner speed. Just works it up on that inside line. Does Benjamin McCliskey. Made that look very easy. There wasn't a problem whatsoever. Benjamin McCliskey on top of his game today. There you see him from upstairs. in the next gen blimp. It's been up all day long. They must have got a lot of fuel into the next gen blimp for it to stay up that long. Hasn't been down once yet. And he's moved around quite a bit around the circuit, giving us a lot of different views. Going out into the start-finish line. 48 laps. Just 21 minutes still to go for that man, Benjamin McCliskey. He's just eased himself away at the front end of the pack. There comes Gaza with Stefan in there behind him. They've been within second of one another all night long. And Stefan Wessels, on previous races, we've seen Stefan Wessels being omnipotent and just killing Trevor Evans, staying completely out of the way. He's 2 laps down. And we've seen Gaza and Stefan very close to one another. And Stefan has been omnipotent and all dominant in previous races. This is one race he has not been able to dominate. He dominated Gaza previously. He dominated Benjamin to a 3rd place in the first round, if I remember correctly, of the Protos for this season. And this time around, oh, Nick's back in. Remember I said when Nick went in, maybe, just maybe, because he went in for that early stop after that incident that he had, he doesn't have to go back into the pits. But unfortunately for him, he does have to go back in. So that should show up as pit stop number 3. Yep, pit stop number 3. Paul Williams is going to come through. Nick is going to find himself that he's going to drop down a bit. There's the man that just came past him, Igor Martinez. So not a happy session. Oh, Wesley Lewins had 5 stops and he's in the pits. This is the 5th time that he's in there. So Igor Martinez 1.9 behind Paul Williams. There you can see Paul Williams in the front end of the shot. That's Paul. That's Igor. Igor Martinez, if we look at the last lap times, is he closing or is he falling behind? Slightly quicker, 2/10. 2/10, that means you need 9 laps. 9 laps at 2 minutes, it's 18 minutes. There's 20 minutes to go. 20 minutes to go. So, Igor Martinez, can he close up on the back of Paul Williams? That will be to not just be inside the top 5. It will be to be in the top 4 for Igor Martinez. But he mustn't make a mistake. He mustn't do what Owen Patterson did to himself. Owen Patterson self-destructed. He was the fastest man out there. He was quicker than Jorge. He was quicker than Marky Mark. Quicker than Nigel as well. And then he went and he blew it. But yeah, maybe that's why the others were a touch slower. Because to do the times that Owen was doing with the LMP3, you had to ride 11/10. And that's why it eventually caught Owen Patterson out. Can he make up the difference now? Well, he took out 9/10 of a second in the previous lap. 9/10, it means he needs 6 laps, which is 12 minutes, which brings you with 5 minutes to go. Should they carry on the way they are now, as we follow through with Igor Martinez. Let's have a go and have a look at Marky Mark. Mark Baker, 8 positions up. Owen Patterson, 8 positions up. Gaza and Stefan will be closing on the back end of Mark and Owen in a couple of laps from now. They are 19 and 21 seconds respectively further back. So we keep an eye on the Marky Mark Baker. 2 minutes 14.551. He might have to turn the wick up just a little. He is pretty much borderline at this stage of the fight. Yeah, I suppose you can ride a bit of a blocker. I'm sure it was Owen Patterson that we just saw there in the background. Yes, it is. So, let's see. A 2 minute 14. What's it going to be for Mark Baker? 2 minute 14.2. So, he's turned the wick up just a bit. Owen Patterson. A 2 minute 13.6. Can you believe it? He's taken another 6/10. Owen Patterson, 6/10 a lap. Is it enough? Will it take him to where he needs to be? Here comes Jorge Benitez. Jorge in that third position. Nigel 10 seconds further back. Pretty much in the same shot. There comes Nigel Stock. He's fourth in class. Mark Sykes just a little bit further back from that, but he's in a different class. The NXTGEN Racing 666. Mark Sykes. He's doing consistent 2 minutes in a, well, 2.930. That's still very, very decent. There's no doubt about that. Quicker than Stefan Wessels, quicker than Paul Williams, quicker than Igor Martinez. Paul Williams and Martinez are both going back into the pits. Is that their third stops? Probably find when they stop. That'll be, yep, it's the third stop for Paul Williams. And the third stop for Igor Martinez. So the guys that have had early pit stops, the pit window was not wide enough for them to be able to make it just with 2 stops. They've had to go in on that extra occasion. See Paul Williams passing Nick Clivens, and that's because coming out of the pits. And that's how he passed Nick Clivens. That's why there was the change up in positions. But a massive big thanks to all of our sponsors that make this all possible for us. Really appreciate what you guys do. PowerMaxed, Benji Sim, Douglas Motorsport, Higgins Automotive, Joyce Design, Motorsports UK Esports, Mark Sykes Design, and Sam Cases. And all of you guys, a big thanks. Really appreciate what you guys have done and made it all possible for us to enjoy this type of motorsport from the top end down. The man that's on top of his game today, Benjamin McCliskey, 24 seconds ahead of that man, Gareth Williams, who has got one over Stefan Wessels, Mr. Super Quick, the pocket rocket. Oh, a spin. And that was Mark Baker. Mark Baker that's gone for the spin. Oh my hat, too much pressure. And Mark Baker has turned himself inside out. He tried to turn up the wick. Used too much curbstone. Gets it all sideways. Drags it to a stop. Kills and flat spots the tires. Gets it going again. And that takes Owen Patterson to the front end of the pack. So Owen will now be thinking, okay, I don't have to be so stupidly, wildly, crazily overexcited to take 6/10 of a lap out of the lead man, Mark Baker. Mark has handed it to him on a platter. There's Owen and there is Mark. Both of them are far enough away from the rest of the pack. There you can see visually Mark Baker from Owen Patterson. Look, Owen has been the quicker of the two. The blimp just a little bit in the wrong position there, getting it all behind the trees. But you can see the lovely growth that there is around Spa-Francorchamps. Owen Patterson, Mark Baker. What a battle! What a battle! Brilliant stuff. Pressure on Owen Patterson. And he cracks. And he spins it. Gets it going again. Both of them going in and out of the pits. Owen starts putting pressure on Mark Baker. Mark Baker spins. Patterson takes the lead again. Jorge Benitez just keeping it nice and smooth. But he's just not quick enough to be able to play with them, unfortunately for Jorge. If we look at the last lap times, how much slower is Jorge? 2 minute 15.0, 2 minute 15. So it's the same pace on the last lap as Owen Patterson, but from previous errors and time lost, no way to make it up, unfortunately. It just doesn't want to work. They've got to have a look at that Mark Baker crash again. This was the Mark Baker one. That's where it all went wrong for Mark Baker. And that's how he got it going again. Just didn't want to work for him at that point in time. But then again, everybody's been pushing very hard, so you're going to have those situations where you are the quickest out there, and you find that by going 11 tenths all the time, you eventually have a bit of a problem. You see Stefan Wessels once again got it off track, but I do believe that that's just using the track limits and nothing else. As we watch Jorge Benitez, Mark Baker going to try and close up on Owen Paterson, but he hasn't had the pace before to go one-on-one with Owen Paterson. It's just been more consistent. Well, let's see when they come across the line now. Owen at 2 minutes 15 with that spin of Mark Baker. He lost 7 seconds. That is, oh, mind-blowing. He must have been speaking multiple languages when he had that spin. Owen at 2 minutes 13 and at 2 minutes 14.1. So Owen Paterson still 1 second quicker per lap than Mark Baker. So if Paterson does not do a Paterson on himself, and Mark Baker doesn't do a Mark Baker on himself, then it will be deja vu with Owen Paterson for Mark Baker, with Jorge Benitez rounding out the top three ahead there of Nigel Stock. That's going to be your front three there. Benjamin McCluskey, Mr. Smooth, is just waltzing away from Gaza and Stefan. I think they're studying one another's lines, I think. There's nothing much between the two of them all day long. And they just stick together and circulate at the same pace. Probably find they've got the exact same setup with their pedal rates and trail braking settings. That's why their lap times are so similar as they work their way through Blanchimont up towards the chicane. Be interesting to see if Stefan in the last 10 minutes tries to go for a dive on Gaza. It's much closer than what you need to be if you just want to follow somebody. I think Stefan Wessels is probably going to want to have a look and see if he can make up that one position. Takes a slightly different line. But from here down towards Al Rouge and up through Radion, you very seldom see a passing maneuver at all. So they work their way through. Is he closing? Yeah, I think Stefan's going to go for it. I think he's paced himself pretty well. You'll probably find his tires are in pretty good shape. Ooh, Gaza! Is Gaza going to do a Baker / Paterson on himself? Let's hope for Gaza that he doesn't do that. Gareth is accustomed to the pressure. Look at the aerodynamics as we ride on board there with Stefan Wessels of that left-hand front wheel arch. How it dissipates the air and creates that vacuum to pull that nose down onto the ground. The WeatherTech sponsored 27 car of a Stefan Wessels, the frequent flyer from South Africa, in that third position with 7 minutes odd to go. Will he have a go at Gaza right on the last and maybe end up making contact and throwing it all away? It can happen. It's not impossible. Even though you're as good as what these two are, it can turn ugly and you can take yourselves out. Although it doesn't really matter, because with the relationship that they've got, you'll probably find... Oh! Wessels into the pits. I don't believe it. Why? Why? Pit stops, pit lap. When last did he come in? The last time that he came in was lap, well, it's now lap 38. Lap 38 to lap 56. Lap 38 to lap 56. Does that mean that Gazza's got to come in as well? It's not impossible. It might mean that Benjamin and Gazza both still have to come for one more pit stop. It's very possible. They both went in on lap 38. Oh, interesting stuff. Now, okay, let's look at this one now mathematically. Pit lane time in total on the last time in for Gazza. Okay, there's Stefan. Let's just check the pit lane time. 107.8 for Gazza. Okay, the amount of time that he was standing in the pits. Was that a drive-through? Let's just have a look at that one. I think that might have been a drive-through. Does he come through and stop? Yes, he does. But he's only standing for 7 seconds. A splash and dash? Yes, it's a splash and dash. That's what he did, Stefan Wessels. So he short-fueled and he's realized it. And he's had to come back into the pits. Stay inside the blend line. Back out on track he goes. Is there a splash and dash in it for Benjamin McCliskey and or Gazza? Oh, yes, there is. Yes, there is. It's not over. Gazza's come in. Benjamin has stayed out. Has Benjamin got enough fuel to make it to the end? This is the question royal. Let's keep an eye out. Here he comes. It's going to be 7 seconds. Where is Stefan? Here he comes through. Is Gazza still standing? Gazza still standing. Here comes Stefan. Where's Gazza? He's on the move. He's on the move. Who is going to be the leader when they come out here? They're going to be side by side. Oh, hard on the gas. And Gazza, oh, look at that. That's Stefan on the inside. Stefan Wessels makes it. Oh, pit strategy a la par excellence. With 4.5 minutes to go. It's not over. The fight is on. Stefan Wessels is ahead of Gazza. Gazza can't believe it. He's saying, how did I get that? How? It was a splash and dash. We're on the same settings. We're on the same laps. It's not possible. And Gazza finds himself behind Stefan Williams. Wessels, should I say? 4 minutes to go. Benjamin McCliskey. He's just idling along. Benjamin McCliskey. He's got it all right. What's happening at the back end there with Owen Patterson? Owen Patterson, there he comes. Where's Marky Mark? There comes Marky Mark. I don't believe that's going to change. Benjamin McCliskey comes into the pit lane. He is already on his way down towards the stop. It's still 2.2 kilometers behind him is Stefan Wessels. Stefan Wessels will be closing, but I don't believe he's going to get anywhere nearby. Splash and dash. Yep, that's all it is. 9.5 seconds, but he's got lots in hand. He'll work his way out. And let's have a look from... there he goes. Stefan. Not even in sight. It's clean sailing from here on out for Benjamin McCliskey. He's just got to keep it all nice and smooth. He's done the splash and dash, 9 seconds. The other two are on 7. If they make it to the end, he'll have extra in hand without any problem to make it to the end. So that's not a problem for Benjamin McCliskey. There's just 2.5 minutes to go in this 2-hour race. It's been massive. It's been utterly brilliant. I tell you what. Everything we expected, hoped for, wished for, and more. Unfortunately, we lost out on Craig Tillotson. And we lost out on Dory Ricciuti. And we lost out on what was going brilliantly, Dan Downing. He unfortunately eventually packed it up as well. As Sean Skitter goes into the pits, that'll probably be his third pit stop. Benjamin McCluskey reading out from Stefan Wessels. Gareth wants him. Gareth wants him oh so bad. But they won't touch one another. They will do everything and anything not to affect one another. And I bet you, if Gareth does touch Stefan and they both spin, I guarantee you Gazza will not pull away. He'll wait for Stefan, let Stefan recover his position, and then come through behind him. That's the type of person that he is. That is what Stefan would do, and that's what Stefan would expect from him as well. Having said that, let's hope it's not a commentator's curse that they do actually make contact with one another. They shouldn't. Let's get the track map up that we can see whereabouts is our leading cars. 1.25 minutes to go. He's just past the start-finish line as Benjamin McCluskey. There he goes. So this is the last lap, the penultimate lap for Benjamin McCluskey. Stefan Wessels holding out on Gazza. This is the start of their very last lap as well. What about Owen? Where is Owen? There he comes through now. So he'll have this lap to do and one more after this. He's slowly but surely pulled away from Marky Mark. The Clibbins goes past him. Igor Martinez will now come up behind him as well with the LDMH. There you see him in the background. That's Igor Martinez. That's in there behind second place LMP3 with 1 minute 59 and 57 seconds gone. I think it's time to have a look at that man, because it's the last time you're going to see him going through this part of the circuit. In fact, let's ride on board with this master driver, Benji, Mr. Smooth McCluskey. What a drive, taking 24 seconds out of the South African rocket. Oops, see, changing lanes there. It was Jorge Bentes moving to what he thought was a safe position. And this coming up to the line for the winner. It's checkered flag time. 59 laps it has taken. And he will come through and take the checkered flag. Well done, Benjamin McCluskey. A masterful master drive. Stefan Wessels eventually eking out a second from Gazza. Going to be coming through in that second position. Don't make a mistake on the last corner. Missed the sausage curb. And he will come through across the line. Stefan Wessels. Gazza comes through as well. What an amazing battle they had between the two of them. 1 minute and 9 seconds further back. Paul Williams. There you can see the gains and losses while we wait for Paulie to come towards the line. Still got a fair distance to go. Duncan Marais finished up. Mark Sykes have finished up. They lapped down. Still waiting for Owen Patterson to come across the line as well. There's Owen. There's Mark behind him. Paul Williams will be the next man that will come through. Working his way towards that last complex, the chicane. Owen Patterson just a little bit further back. So Paul Williams 3 positions up, having started in 7th. Paul Williams comes across the line, and that ahead of Nick Clibbins, and that ahead of Igor Martinez. So now we need to see where is Owen Patterson. There he comes. What a drive, Owen Patterson ahead of Mark Baker. Owen was the quickest man out there. There's no doubt about it. He was brilliant. Mark, very, very consistent. Both of them making just that one error, and that's what made the difference at the end of the day between them. Wow, what a race! Next Gen Racing Proto Season 4, round number 4, Spa-Francorchamps. Mr. Smooth, Benji McCliskey, takes away the win by 24 seconds from Stefan Wessels. Gazza Williams and Stefan, oh, there was nothing between the two of them, and either of them could have ended up in that second and third position. Paul Williams eventually coming through in the Team Tetra Rouge, 1 minute 35 behind, 5 seconds behind that. Igor Martinez from the Sharkman, Nick Klibbens, the South African Duncan Marie, Mark Sykes and Alan McCain. Owen Patterson, brilliant, utterly brilliant on the day. Put up the fastest lap time overall, made 1 or 2 errors, but that additional pace was just enough to make up the big difference. And Owen Patterson takes away the win from Mark Baker. Once again, the privateer Jorge Bentes coming up in a top 3, and that on the same lap, but just behind the Speed 9 esports car of Mark Baker. Nigel Stock in the Crest Autosport entry, ahead of Mike Ridler, who will be very happy to be ahead of Sean Skitter and Trevor Evans in the Tortoise Power 656 of Trevor Evans, and he on a regular basis made space for everybody and anything around him to not impact on anybody else's race, and as they all work their way back to the pits. Well, folks, that pretty much wraps it up for the day. It's been awesome to be with you. A massive big thanks to all of our sponsors, and let's name them for you because these guys deserve it. Sam Cases, Mark Sykes Designs, Motorsport UK Esports, Joyce Design, Hughes Automotive, Douglas Motorsport, Benji Sim, and Power Max. A big thanks to all those guys. From my side, Gary Fleming, it's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. Second Gear Productions bringing you this, and next week, same time, it's going to be round number 4 of the GT3 series for Next Gen for 2024. From my side, enjoy yourself, people. Enjoy the weekend. Cheers, everybody, and I'll see you same time next week.